know, with me basically jumping the ship on Destiny content and almost switching over to FNAF content for entertainment purposes, as I did not like my Destiny content, one game I always kept putting off was Playtime with Percy, where I knew from the looks of it that it was a game that I knew I would enjoy, but I never had the time to properly do it, and I just kept making excuses for myself, either being, oh, I don't think it'd be a good game to stream, or I don't think it'd be a good game for this, I don't think it'd fit my content style, I don't think it'd fit this or this. But you know what? Fuck it. We are making it because I want to make a video like this. And I absolutely, after streaming it, adore this game. So you know what? We're going to be here, making a video, talking about the gameplay, and also what I know currently of the story inside the game, alongside potentially other features that come inside as well. I will try to do my best to do everything about this justice. So I guess without me trying to stall a bit longer, let's just get into it. Which, for starters, we start out with a wonderfully drawn cutscene here with the different kinds of images, where, to summarize parts of the story, we are playing as the character Nick, where what we are doing is we were recently laid off of the location known as Percy's Playhouse, and what we have to do is we are giving a contract job essentially from the character John Johnson, and Mr. Johnson wants us to just essentially watch the place for him for the next week, as he plans to get it demolished by Friday. And our payment is $50 a night and a sort of basket of unassorted goods. I'm gonna be honest, my ass would probably do the same kind of gig. I am not going to lie there.
With major gameplay changes being based upon the idea of using the pal Percy, which we now have as a thing we have to worry about. In every night, it has a set happiness level, where you have to meet that in order for the night to properly end. This is a very simple base task minigame, as you are given 3 tasks to do, which work out on a lockout system, which to my experience you can't do one more than 2 times, otherwise you will have to forced to do the other 2, with the task being very simple. Task number 1 being feeding it, where all you have to do is wait for the things to drop and collect them. Task number 2 is giving it water. For this, all you have to do is mash W and S till God knows how long, and then you get it filled up. And then the third one being playing catch with it. You use A and D to move left and right, hit spacebar to toss it, line the ball up with the thing in the middle, and then you're good. Which now brings us over to our animatronic threats that we're dealing with here on Monday. With our first being Miss Trans Icon herself, Mother Moose. With how Mother Moose works is she will occasionally show up from your vents into your office, and all you have to do is either A, do the pal Percy mechanic even more, or B, stay on your cameras. It is really easy to explain this one, and it is really easy to explain the next one in line too, being Charlie Cat. How Charlie here works is almost the exact same as Mother Moose, where he will show up from the vents into your office, but instead of pulling up your pal or cameras, you have to take either one down and not have them up. The easiest threats to explain in this game out of the way, which now brings us over to our post-shift minigame on Monday. This being, we are tasked with selling all the animatronics for Friday's delivery day, when the building gets destroyed. This being, how we do it is we turn on this computer and we have to decline offers until they reach the target goal that we are set to, with this varying depending on the animatronics, which you hit decline, punch in a number combination, and occasionally as well you will disconnect from the Wi-Fi. You just have to find the one that says Percy Playhouse Router, which then you're back online to continue selling. But there is a threat along these halls. This being Charlie Cat. How Charlie works is you will hear him stomping through the halls, and once he starts stomping around, you have to hide under your desk in order to not be jumped by him, as he will not notice you down there. And also, once you sell the third animatronic at this time, Charlie will now be more aggressive and also stay longer at the desk. Mostly being, he will wait a couple seconds and then start continuing walking. With your new task as well, being that the screen starts to be buzzy, you start having pop-up ads, and you have to enter instead of a 2-digit combination, a 4-digit combination, with you almost being disconnected every single time. Which though, overall, it's really fun. I'll definitely say that. It is also kind of stressful, especially if you're not paying full attention to it, where you can miss up hearing Charlie's steps. It's genuinely really fun minigame, and I've been trying to get really good at it, especially when I'm trying to go for the 100%, being also having to do the thing I'm going to be talking about now, which is your night rankings. With the night being trialed from your speed, being, well, the main night itself, and also the post-night shift, with certain ranges around every night based on your ranking, but a higher rank, which is a S, A, B, D, and F, S rank being the best, and F tier being the worst. And how it works is anything above a D tier, to my knowledge, gives you bonus happiness for the next night. So picture it more as a way to gain extra time shaved off, something similar to the plush trap minigame inside of FNAF 4. Which now brings us inside of Tuesday, this being adding 2 brand new threats, these both being Farmer Felix, and the first of the playful poodles being this one, the one called Tat. And let's get them in this order as well out of the way. How Farmer Felix works is he'll march his way down your hall and his eyes will be flashing a certain color. All you have to do is line the color up with the Simon Says machine to your left, and all you have to do is match that to the color of his eyes and he will be not there. I will say one thing as well, you don't have to do it immediately as long as the colors do match when he leaves the hall. So you could ignore him until he completely is about to piss off. As long as you get the color, you're perfectly fine. This can definitely add a lot of just unnecessary things, but you should notice when Farmer Felix enters your office by A, the window in front of you, or B, by the same step that Charlie Cat used within the minigame beforehand. Which now brings us over to the other threat being Playful Poodle, this one being Tat. How Tat works is they will occasionally show up into your office and threaten to disable your pal Percy. The only thing you have to do is use the pal Percy. This is more of an idle check, honestly. As well, if you don't do the pal Percy task in time, you just lose it. So you essentially just have to wait to get jump scared or exit out of the game to restart the night. Which, keep in mind, I am not against a file like this ideally, to add a soft lock and an idle check. This is genuinely one of the better things, but I feel like that Tat, although I've never really dealt with them much in my threats, as in I will say they are the easiest to deal with next to Mother Moose, which still I would say that they definitely add into the overall, especially as I was trying to run through max mode a couple times and going through the custom night challenges that are offered into the table as well. Although I will definitely say Tat is definitely the weakest threat in the entire roster. Which now brings us into Tuesday's post-night minigame, this being Arcade Hijinks. How Arcade Hijinks works is all we have to do is play a simple arcade shooter and get up to 6,000 score. But, of course, that is not it. Behind us, we have Mother Moose trying to ambush us throughout the entire game. All you have to do is pause the game, turn around, and flash her, and then she'll piss off. But once you hit 3,000 score, she will become more aggressive and require 2 flashes as your screen on the arcade also starts bugging out. Overall, I will say it is enjoyable, but it is not my favorite. It is very far away, despite the time we get to spend with Miss Icon herself. Which, well, that wraps it up for Tuesday. All you have is 2 new threats that go around, and although they don't work well together, I will definitely say they do add overall to the final loop that we are playing. Which now, from Tuesday, moves us over into Wednesday night, which adds 2 brand new threats, which cooperate perfectly for each other. Let's get them out of the way first. The main threat being Percy Poodle himself, which might I add here as well. Percy, I love Percy's design despite how simple it is. I think the main reason why is in all of the material that you'll see for the game, you never see him open his mouth until the jump scare animation, which is really cool as well, that they are able to keep that up. And to me as well, on my first playthrough where I was seeing it, it was unsettling at first, just seeing him stare me down with that just plain grin everywhere. It is really good, especially on design and animations wise. But I'm getting sidetracked. Back to the main point of how Percy works is he'll show up on the opposite end of your hall where Farmer Felix is exiting, essentially, and he will make his way into your door. And by this time, when he gets to the door, eventually he will start banging on that thing. And what you all have to do is hold the door shut. If you don't hold the door shut, he enters in your office and he's going to start mauling you. Which I will definitely say, Percy, in my opinion, is the favorite mechanics-wise for the sole reason that he just brings so much into it. That, as I said, he slowly makes his way to your door, you have a countdown essentially to when he's going to probably be there, and then you have to have him bang in and just hold it shut. Like, you know as well, he could probably just bash it open, but he is just playing with you essentially as well. which is just really funny and also kind of terrifying. But let's get back to the other threat that we have to talk about, this being the other of the playful poodles, this one being called Tot. And how Tot works is she will occasionally open your door, and that's it. Leave her there for too long, and she will crack the entire door open, and I am not entirely sure, I tried looking this up on the wiki and in-game as well. I have seen nothing about it, but it is what I believe, is that she also increases Percy's aggression when she holds the door open. And if you let her stay there for too long, like I said, she will crack the door open, making you unable to close it or keep it shut, allowing Percy to just enter in for free and have a complete feast on your ass. But after we complete this time, the power gets cut and we have to go into the back room and restore it, which is very simple. All we have to do is a bunch of mini games. Thank God it's this instead of what happened with Sister Location's power restoration, because at least now it is more entertaining to do and also different enough that it is really fun. Although the minigames themselves are extraordinarily simple, these being a maze, collect things in a different maze, dodge bullets in the maze, or push these blocks to match with their colors, while also you're being harassed by him. You're getting your section later, alright? You wait your turn in line. To summarize what he does in this night, he will occasionally show up from behind you and try to go in from behind. And all you have to do is once you see him there, you just have to turn your back around from the panel and shine your light at him, and he'll go away from one of the holes he comes in. Which, once you reach halfway, he'll also become more aggressive and start trying to rampage more, being he shows up more often, and once you do flash him originally, you have to now turn your flashlight to the other side. Which overall as well, with the minigames getting harder, either projectiles become more spammy, you have to deal with the electrician one, where you have to now deal with more projectiles in that room, and also the fact that the colors get more harder to see, along with your screen shaking, of course. But overall, Wednesday is a really fun addition, being mostly just Percy himself, which is genuinely one thing I wish I could say about tomorrow's character. But there's one last thing I am realizing I'm almost forgetting. This is like the 4th time I've done this recording, and I keep forgetting it. With On Your Way Out this time, as Nick is calling John, all you have to do is you see a CD and you are considering taking it. Whether you do or don't, it does not matter. I've checked both routes, and nothing happens either way, so it all ends in the same cutscene, where mostly it is Nick trying to get the CD to work, but overall getting frustrated and going to bed. And after this, we actually see what it is supposed to be. There's a public recall notice from Percy's Playhouse, additionally saying that the PAL Percy devices have been permanently recalled due to safety concerns involving the device. Which from here brings us inside of Thursday, which introduces 2 threats. Both play off each other really well, much like Percy and Tot, but I absolutely fucking hate one of the threats, which is also the reason I adore their presence, as they completely changed the game. This being Rowan Rat, which how Rowan Rat works. He starts in the Ratcade. Cameras are now also equipped with a radar system. Once you hear Rowan Rat leave the Ratcade or see it, you have to go to your cameras, which you have to press D4 to then see where he is going. I will say one thing here. This was the character I died to the most, as he is very easy to forget until it is too late, and his sound cue is so goddamn quiet with everything else running in the background. And that's not even it. With Rowan Rat, once he's able to go through and you don't shock him, he will go into your cameras, disable them, and then show up in your office to make sure no one can find the goddamn body. So essentially, we have a character who spawns in, stealths around, has to be detected by a radar, to then be hurled back. Otherwise, he'll go in, destroy all evidence, and then also completely discard the body and mangle it apart. Welcome back, Sam Fisher, but somehow more aggressive. Dear God. Which I'm realizing now I am almost forgetting the other threat tonight, being Tim. How Tim works is what he does is he will show up within your camera system and often try to hide from you. But all you have to do is once you hear the squeak and seeing a simple little danger icon above your camera system, all you have to do is hit the cameras and then find him on any of the cameras and stare him down. Otherwise, he's going to also Sam Fisher your cameras. And just your cameras, thankfully. But with this fight over, now we have to see Farmer Felix completely collapse on the floor, which brings us over into Thursday's night minigame. This being fixing Farmer Felix. How it is you just have to screw the things off his head back, get into his head, and then start trying to do the repair process. These being 4 simple minigames. With the first one normally being that I've done was align these 2 things up where they say different commands and then hit activate once the numbers up top are equal, play Simon Says, turn a crank, and then also a simple gear minigame where you're matching the symbols on the gears with the symbols in the sockets. You can also hit left click and multiple times to grab copies of the same gear, which I did not know in my first playthrough, I'm going to admit this. With also your additional threat for the night being the playful poodles themselves, as they will all try to awaken Felix during this repair section. With how to deal with them is simple, you just have to exit your repair currently and just tap them on the nose. And once you get halfway through the repairs, by the way, they'll require more tapping. But I normally hit 3 times anyway, so it did not personally affect me that much. And after all 4 minigames, all you have to do is hit the reboot button, wait it out, and then you're a-okay. Minigame complete. With my original opinion on Thursday being really negative because of the rat, I have grown around it, especially thinking about it and looking back and on my multiple playthroughs where I originally dreaded the rat, which that is a character that definitely has staying power. And as well, the fact that he flips the entire gameplay in and on its head is also really fun to think about as well, especially with me trying to do max mode where I would have to flip my attention from what I've been currently doing to then immediately focus on him, especially trying to understand his sound cue and hear for it in particular outside of everything around him. With also our final night here being for the week, Friday night, which nothing new is added tonight, unfortunately, so there's nothing for me to talk about, minus just going through it, and also the post minigame. Which your post-shift minigame this time involves actually fixing up Percy, as his battery went out, so we have to do something to fix it. But, unfortunately, there is no battery in sight. So we are told by John to just find something and stick it in, hope it works. Which we do. We grab the pal purse we've been using this entire week, and stick it right in there. With it saying that it is accepted, we go on and close out the day. Is what I would say, but I'm going to say one thing that is important here first. Beyond this point is a spoiler warning. All I'm going to say is I heavily recommend anyone who is interested in playing Playtime with Percy, go in and play it. Do not watch from this point forward, especially with what can be seen as a massive spoiler territory, but in overall, if you're clicking off now to finish it, finish the game, come back to this later, and then it's good, alright? It's in the description. Feel free to play it. It is free. It is ridiculously fun, and you will not regret it. Okay, moving on from the spoiler warning and my conscience cleared, we have Friday morning, the true finale of this game. This being a completely different and unique office area, separate from what we were doing the past 5 nights beforehand. Like, this is really cool to see as a complete twist in the game. With also it being completely unique, we also, as we got rid of our pal Percy, have a new one to deal with completely different and unique minigames. With this being also relatively slightly harder. The first one being a simple match 3, the second one being a maze, which also, might I add, controls ridiculously buttery smooth as well, like going through this thing. Like, this is one of my favorites, not for the fact that it's easy, but for the sheer control, that just how much you glide through the maze without much effort or pressing anything crazy. And the third one is the one that takes the longest, being simply just FISH! with the biggest frustration being how long it takes to 1, pull down your rod, grab the thing, 2, and then you have to wait for it to go all the way back up, and then if you miss it by a bit, you have to wait for it to go all the way back down, and then all the way back up. It just takes forever, and the one I try to avoid the most. Especially with the change, instead of as it was Monday night to Friday night, we are now set on a time limit of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Trust me, it is not as bad as it sounds. You can get through it completely fine after a short amount of time. It is not that difficult, especially with the fact that you only have to get up to 20 for each section out of the flat charges for this task. It is really fast. It does not feel like it should. If anything, it should be less time. But what is a shift like this without any animatronic threats? And also they are divided within each charge. I will be going through them as they get introduced. So the first charge has us deal with Pal and another threat called Tamalanky. Let's get Pal out of the way first, being that we're going to see him a couple more times. Pal's attack for this charge only is he will occasionally show up from your cameras and ask you to find him and then find what he wants. Once you do, all you have to do is go into your camera, find Pal, and then go to any other camera Pal is currently not at to find the thing he is looking for. And then after that, you're fine. That is it. Which now brings over to our second threat, Tamalanky. So picture what I said about Cat. Just copy-paste it. Because that is literally what Tamalanky is, except when you completely biff doing your activities, it just fucking kills you, instead of just force soft locking you. With those two out of the way, we now move on into the next charge, which introduces 2 threats again. This being an older variant of the Poodle Tim and Tama Baruti. Let's get Tim out of the way, as he is very easy. Tim will show up from the ceiling in your office, and all you have to do is slam him in with your cart. Leave him there for too long, he'll 1, make your palette completely a nightmare to control, and also your cameras flip at random. That is it. With the main thing I'm going to say as well is the next one, Tama Broody, which all I'm going to say is, I thought these hands right here were legs for the longest time, and I thought it was just trying to kick in your walls. No, it is trying to punch in your walls. And with the knowledge that these are now hands, all I'm saying, I don't see any nails on those things. I am only going to imply something, but I'm heavily implying it instead of trying to say it outright. That's all I'm going to be saying about a character design like this. Okay, back to what we were talking about. Tama Bree's main mechanic, as said, it will try to punch in your walls, and all you have to do is hold the office cart to it. Whatever side you're trying to punch it from. Do this for a short amount of time, and it will piss off. With this now carrying over into our third charge, where we have the annoying little fuck known as Tama Opti, and also Pal again. This time, Pal is imitating Percy and completely running up your door and trying to bash that shit in again. And how you deal with it is exactly like Percy. You hold it shut in front of him. And Tama Opti. Imagine everything I said about Ronowrath would make the entity easier, as this one sound cue is really loud. Like, if you miss this thing, you probably need to check your volume settings. Like, once you start to understand what the sound cue is, it is really hard to not hear it. With especially the thing that I like the most, I don't have to interact with the radar system again for this one. You just hear the sound cue, flick through your cameras, spot it, shock it, and you're cool. Which now also carries us into the fourth charge. This adds a new Tama and the old Pal again. This one being Pat, where they now take the place of Tim from the main game. Being you have to find them on the camera, stare them down, and wait till they piss off. Otherwise, they're going to lock your office cart and also make your vision completely miserable. Alongside this, we have another Tama, this being Tamarochi. How they work is they'll come in from the top, cling onto your screen, and all you have to do before they swarm you is just straight up chuck them, otherwise they're gonna think you're their mother and they're a bunch of spiders. With the final charge introducing a different thing and a new threat. The new threat being Todd. How Todd works is she will occasionally appear on the television screen. All you have to do is tap on them, that's it. to get her to leave, and then also unlock your doors. And if she stays on there for too long, she will prevent you from unlocking the door, allowing Pal, if he's going in through the door, to have free reign on you. With his third and final strike, being he will show up from the top and just whip out a cup and ball on your ass. And yes, he just plays a cup and ball game. Find where the ball went, and you're good. Find where it's not, and well, he's going to show you where there's a bunch of wires, and probably do little things with them around you, and maybe find a place to stuff them all inside. But with that out of the way, once you get the final charge all up, it kills the Pal device that you've had, and you are stuck with a 60-second last stand. You only have the cameras, the carts, and the door. You don't have to worry about Tomalenki or the PAL device. And after all of that, the main campaign for Playtime with Percy is done. You get a final cutscene with PAL trying to wrap up Nick and have him stay forever, only to be saved by a wrecking ball from the demolitions crew because it has now reached the morning and they are trying to make sure that everything is cleared to destroy the building, leaving PAL completely out bodiless again, and Nick able to run away into the morning sun, and John Johnson is waiting there as he is overseeing the thing and believing that Nick went away originally despite being trapped in the building. With also our post-game content being 1, an endless mode, 2, we have also custom hour for both sides of the game, our Friday morning section and our Monday through Friday section, both including 2 brand new threats, and also an art gallery and full of scrapped concept, character ideas that they had originally, and also so much more, mostly being contest winners for the art gallery and also design concepts. With the custom night ones, let's get those out of the way first before we discuss Endless, being, well, we have for the Monday through Friday sections, we have 2, these being both Helios and Sunny Sheep. Sunny Sheep, how she works is she will stay in your office 24/7 during the night, and occasionally her face will fall off and you have to reattach it to her. Her face has one of 3 set locations it will drop into whenever it goes off, so at least with enough muscle memory and practice, you should be able to learn this one quickly if you're trying to go through max mode. With the next one being Helios. How Helios works is he starts out in the show stage, then goes to the Rad Arcade, and then he'll make his way left or right to then try to get into your office. You just find him on whatever side he's in, shock him, and that will set him back, and also give him a temporary stun. These 2 definitely add a lot, and Sunny alone is a completely unique mechanic to both sides. Well, kind of unique, it's kind of similar to the office cards in the Friday morning, but not entirely, especially with how she works, being a countdown timer as well. I'll definitely say Sunny is probably my favorite, Monday through Friday animatronic design, at least not design-wise, more of mechanics-wise, especially for how unique she stands out amongst the crowd. And while Helios was supposed to be kind of broken down, he still looks too clean to me to be completely broken down and grabbing the sun as a spare mask. And now that brings us over to our Friday morning section, which we have 2 threats here as well. First being Polly Possum and also Truman. Truman, how he works is he is a Christmas-obsessed freak. As in, he will go into your thing, any of the screens you have, your cameras, your Pal Percy, or your TVs up top, and you have to tab out of the Christmas advertisement or he's going to be shoving that act so far up or trying to chop you down like a Christmas tree. And next up is Polly Possum, which I'm going to say her fixed design especially is really adorable as well. I'm just going to say that here, she's cute as hell. And especially with her mechanicals being really easy to understand, as she basically works as another variant of Charlie Cat, and with all the threats, especially how many are camera focused, this can be really good to deal with as well. With her occasionally being able to spring down from her tail into your office, and when she's in this final form, wait a couple seconds for her to then spring back up, and you will have an audio cue knowing when she is gone. And with her characters out of the way, we also have our endless mode, which honestly, I'm more surprised barely any fan games possess an endless mode. As in, you just go through as an endless endurance night for the night, and that is it. Although, I will say the one that it technically is possible to beat Friday Morning Endless, it is just a borderline impossible due to their high charge requirement and especially with trying to use the EM PAL as well. You are going to get jump scared before you get before you complete it. But the main changes for Endless Mode between the rest of the nights is that your Shocker no longer has a limited charge. It is set up to 999, so in theory you can run out. But if you run out of 999 shocks in a night, I think you have some more things to do if you are not there for a couple of hours. But yeah, that's all that I'm right now, especially as of here, talking about Playtime with Percy. Where the only things I feel like I would be talking about Percy again, like as a game-wise, where I would also be discussing everything I did not mention here on purpose. This being the external media that I myself do not know about. Mostly being the Holiday Hijinks, the ARG, and also, as said, the full Steam release. That is planned to happen sometime soon, but it is currently still in development, along with so much more, especially with a projected sequel on the way, if we're going off of the Game Jolt and Twitter pages. But that is everything Playtime with Percy has to offer as a complete experience. I definitely will say it is still one of the best projects made for the FNAF, inspired community, especially with how unique it does present itself, with mechanics that really blend well with each other, characters that bounce off each other wonderfully, and ones that completely change the game once they're introduced and are really fun to deal with, along with a wondrous, a really fun twist that ended up being a complete fun challenge for me, that I am as probably tonight, once this video goes up, I'm going to be trying to go through max mode for, as I really do love it. I've been getting some progress, but I've been getting kind of far with it as I've been doing some practice runs. I've gone to about halfway, and then I would almost die to about the same threats, so I just need to practice with them more than I'd like to admit. But I need to stop meandering here, so I guess this is the end of this right now. I have been your host, and I will be, sending myself to the editor's dungeon to get this out by February. Alright, see ya!